On today's Core of the Bible Daily Insight, we're looking at an article I wrote last year called The Steep Price of Obtaining Purity of Heart. And it has to do with our holiness as believers. In 2 Timothy 2, it says, "Flee from youthful lusts, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart." As Timothy was a young leader within the Yeshua movement of Judaism, Paul was encouraging him to focus on being a positive example to the believers. His commitment to the Messiah would need to be evident in every aspect of his being so that people would sense his sincerity, and thereby spurring confidence in his teaching and honor towards his Lord. This admonition comes amidst a discussion on faithful workers versus those who had been spreading falsehood among believers. Paul was encouraging Timothy to stick to these basics of kingdom living to ensure that he would remain separated from falsehood. And he uses a metaphor of the variety of uses of household utensils to illustrate his point. Again, in 2 Timothy 2, it says, "Now in a large house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and of clay. Some are for honor and some for dishonor. If anyone therefore purges himself from these, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and suitable for the master's use, prepared for every good work." So to pursue righteousness, Paul argues, one needs only to focus on faith, love, and peace within the community of Messiah. And this will breed pureness of heart among the believers, and all will be encouraged. Now, while this may come across as being too simplistic, it certainly was not an easy task for the early believers. Maintaining faith in an environment of doctrinal oppression and intense persecution was a lifestyle of daily challenge. But demonstrating real love, not only for the brethren, but also for those who were opposed to the gospel of the kingdom, was a monumental task. And pursuing peace with everyone who was essentially against the teachings of Yeshua, it required the deepest levels of reliance on the Spirit of God working in them to establish God's kingdom in that generation. Yeshua demanded his followers have purity of heart, but this purity of heart would come at a steep price. In fact, Paul himself suffered intense persecution, and he knew it was a reality for believers who were separating from falsehood, but that they should remain steadfast in their faith. In 2 Timothy 3, Paul writes, "Yes, and all who desire to live godly in Messiah Yeshua will suffer persecution. But evil men and impostors will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But you remain in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing from whom you have learned them." Being set apart for God's use, a gold or silver utensil to be used for honorable purposes, required a refining process that would test them at every turn until they came forth in their purified quality, ready and useful to God for his special purpose in each and every opportunity. And this is the end result and the goal of holiness, being set apart for God's use. How like those early believers we should strive to be. By demonstrating righteousness through faith, love, and peace, we will be honoring their memory along with their sacrifice and example through intense persecution. But we will also be honoring the God who calls us to the same life of useful work in our generation. As his people become set apart for his use, he is glorified in every age, and his kingdom continues to fill the earth. Well, I hope today's insight was helpful for you. Please be sure to visit coreofthebible.org for hundreds of Bible articles, other podcast episodes, and videos. And thanks so much for listening today. Take care.